Incredible great news that you have never seen before until today about your second stimulus check, second stimulus package, and third stimulus package. Everything has changed. The negotiators, what's being done, the bills, the provisions. Oh my God, can you keep up? First item of business, new negotiators. Second item of business, the new bills. Third item of business, the routing times. And fourth item of business, you. Finally, stimulus is on path. And that path starts this Monday morning. And guess who's going to be negotiating the bills? Here we go. It's all new. And this is Evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Evenings LALATE, and tomorrow morning, the work starts for stimulus. And on Monday, the stimulus packages will be introduced to Senate Republicans and Democrats. Mitch McConnell is the lead negotiator for the Republicans. And guess who is the new lead negotiator for the Democrats? It's Joe Biden. Yes, it's no longer Nancy and Steve. This is the breaking news, and if you've not subscribed to this channel, you need to. We're delivering you breaking news around the hour and around the clock. Absolutely categorically incredible stuff. It's a great night, and I'm so glad you're here for incredible great news, and everything is changing very quickly and very fast. Also, like this video. In this video, I'll be going over why everything has now changed. The negotiators have changed, the bills have changed, the deal provisions have changed, the amounts have changed. The only thing that's changed is the set a little bit, but the calcino's still there. So if you have just sat down and you're about to put the cup of coffee in on the table, then relax, because you're going to be in store for a lot of great news tonight. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news this evening is that Joe Biden is the chief negotiator for the stimulus check and stimulus package with Mitch McConnell. It's no longer Steve and Nancy. That's the first item of business. Second, the bill provision will start going into the Senate on Monday. That's the second item. Third, it's going to be routed and done very quickly because the relief needs to go out immediately. And this amid new concerns about COVID-19 cases. Next, this remains the number one priority for Mitch McConnell, and a new report tonight says this is also the number one priority for Joe Biden. So why is this all incredible great news? It's because all the pieces are lining up perfectly. Let me back up. Joe Biden, if you do not know, is a former senator. He's a former senator of many decades, and after that, of course, was your VP for 8 years. He's known Mitch McConnell for a lifetime. He has worked with Mitch McConnell for a lifetime. And together, the two have passed bipartisan legislation over and over again. They're from a different time when people could get things done with bipartisan efforts. They've always been adversaries on different sides of the political spectrum, but they've gotten bills passed. And now tonight we know, as broken first on this channel. This channel was the first to break this breaking news on Being a Mitch at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, that the chief negotiator for the Democrats will no longer be Nancy Pelosi, but Joe Biden. Nancy Pelosi will be involved. She will take credit for stuff. She still will be vocal. She still will say things. But Joe Biden is driving this force. And on the other side, it's Mitch McConnell. Why? These are the number one Republican and Democrat in the country. Joe Biden, on behalf of the Democrats, is number one. And Mitch McConnell is the new Republican number one in the United States. And so what is focused on is getting this done right away. On Monday, Mitch McConnell will put this to the Senate. It's going to go very, very quickly. And the issue is how quickly it can go and what are those deal provisions. Let me go over why this is turning around so quickly. In an incredible remark tonight, Ed Markey said the following about the revelation. Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell have cut many deals over the years, and we're in a position right now, my fingers are crossed, that in the next several weeks we will put together a coronavirus relief package. This is incredibly great news. It is Joe Biden who is going to be negotiating the provisions, and the other person on the other side is Mitch McConnell. Now, I want to go over a couple things for you right away. One, I know that you've dealt with seeing a lot of stuff differently over the last few months. Everything now is going to be categorically different. So if you have a remark that says, well, in the past or previously or before, I want you to sort of get it out of wash it away, get some good detergent and just wash it away, some Tide or, Ajax, just wash it away because we're starting anew. That's the first thing I want you to know. Second, the whole thing of Steve and Nancy of chatting for 40 minutes and then suddenly talking to press for 2 hours, chatting for 10 minutes and talking to press for 5 hours. And we were sort of told more about what they were doing or not doing than what they were actually doing. This time it's going to be a reverse. You're not going to hear when Joe Biden calls up Mitch McConnell. They're not going to tell you. So Joe Biden may have already started negotiating with Mitch McConnell. They may have bridged these issues, or they may start talking tomorrow, or they may start talking on Monday. They're not going to issue press releases every time they talk. So you have to understand, because you don't see the optics of it like you used to see with Nancy and Steve, you don't want to presume that there's nothing happening. I want you to make that very clear. These people aren't press release driven, The View, Steve Colbert appearance type people. They just don't do that. That's their different style. They're from a different era, so they're not going to be in front of the cameras grandstanding all the time as Nancy has done for 6 months. That's not going to happen. Next, what's important to understand is there's going to be a lot of negotiations very quickly because Joe Biden has other things he needs to do, which is COVID, which is the federal budget in December, and he needs to get stimulus done first and get all these other things done as well. There's a new report out today that talks about what Joe Biden will do right away. And Joe Biden understands that his party is not in control of the Senate. Remember, Joe Biden's a Democrat, Mitch McConnell's party, Republicans are in charge of the Senate. It's very hard to get things passed when your party is not in control of the Senate. He knows that. He's not coming in as Barack Obama, where you have every single part of Congress as your party and you can just pass anything you want. This is going to be very, very difficult. So Joe Biden knows he has to follow the lead of Mitch McConnell and do things that are bipartisan. And so everything that you've learned up to this point with Nancy Pelosi, which is my way or the highway, that's not happening anymore. And moreover, we're under an emergency situation now. With COVID-19 cases increasing 25,000 per day, 25% week to week, you have to move very quickly. An incredible new report tonight from Shai Akabas, Economic Policy Director at the Bipartisan Policy Center, says Joe Biden has an ambitious policy agenda, and it's hard to argue with that. You certainly can argue it's not ambitious enough. But what is first item of doing is stimulus. If the outgoing Congress fails to get it a package in the closing weeks of the presidency, get a stimulus package approved will be the first thing that Biden does. Now, what Abbas is not keyed in on is that Biden's actually working on that right now. And so Akabas is sort of an example of why people sort of presume things wait until after inauguration. Oh no, that's not how Joe Biden works. Under the Obama administration, Obama and Biden were working on banking bailout problems because the banking industry had failed. They were working on from the moment of election night all the way from the month of November, December. They were working on it. So Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell will be working on your stimulus right away. Joe Biden has other things that he wants to do, and those are taxing the rich, trade entanglements, and also dealing with the deficit. Another obstacle looming for the administration is the budget deficit, where sports Yahoo tonight, skyrocketing to $3.1 trillion the fiscal year. What's important to understand is that Mitch McConnell has that budget deficit in the back of his brain, and that's why Mitch doesn't want to do a stimulus package that's $2 trillion. And the great news as you sit here tonight is that he doesn't have to do one that's $2 trillion. If you did not tune in to my recording earlier today, I explained the mathematics behind stimulus checks. There's $850 billion of CARES Act 1 money that's sitting around that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell can send out for stimulus checks right now. That would amount to $5,000 per household. $800 billion is about, actually not per household, per individual. $850 billion is about a $5,000 stimulus check. Send that out right now. And then you don't need the two stimulus checks of the Problem Solvers bill. How much of the two stimulus checks of the Problem Solvers bill? I'd say about 400 billion. So you remove the 400 billion from the Problem Solvers bill from 1.5, you're down to 1.1. And then suddenly you're exactly in the hitting space of where Mitch McConnell wanted to be. Now, understand, Mitch McConnell supports the Problem Solvers bill. Lindsey Graham supports the Problem Solvers bill. They said they would pass it right away. Here, they could do the Problem Solvers bill and also send out robust stimulus checks. What Mitch McConnell always had a problem about was running up the national debt by having too big of a stimulus package. And he certainly would go to about a 1.5 or a 1.3, the Problem Solvers bill, but didn't want to go above this. Now he can stay below it by using that money for stimulus checks. And so that is the incredible great news. What's also really incredible great news tonight is that Mitch McConnell is really on key to getting these things done. He was asked yesterday, what does he think about peaceful transfer of power? Of course. We've had a peaceful transfer of power going back to 1792. Every 4 years, we've moved on to a new administration. Now, what's important to understand is that everyone is really trying to get caught up very quickly in the situation. And there's going to be a lot of really confusing narratives out there because we've gone through literally 6 months of talking about stimulus, and suddenly everything is being changed. So first, we just talked about stimulus checks. You're owed multiple stimulus checks. And who made this remark about Joe Biden? Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell have cut money deals over the year. Who said that remark? Ed Markey. And who is Ed Markey? He's the guy who wrote the $2,000 for 6-month stimulus check bill with Senator Harris, now VP-elect Harris, and with Bernie Sanders. So he's the guy who co-wrote the bill that the viewers of this channel adore, and I adore as well. $2,000 for every month for 6 months until the pandemic improves or unemployment goes down. And so you understand why this is so incredibly important. What's also really incredibly important is tonight that a lot of people are very excited about Biden coming in the Democratic Party and are very excited about doing their thing. And that's a little bit high alert for you because what they are trying to do is jump ahead of you and start doing other things like the global climate change, moving out of the Paris Climate Agreement, a $7.1 trillion infrastructure bill to fix the national highways, and things like that. They're like, okay, we're so excited, we want to do these things. No, hold up. And that was actually really quite great about a couple of articles today. It said, no. Joe Biden's on focus with Mitch McConnell. Stimulus and COVID. Those are the two number one priorities right now. You have to do them hand in hand. And let me go over why. Stimulus relief is needed right now for a series of reasons. Many of the bill's provisions of the first stimulus package are expiring. They have expired or they're expiring. First, UI benefits under FPUC expiring in late December. PUA expiring in late December. Student eviction moratorium, rent eviction. Students are not being evicted. Rent eviction moratorium expiring in December. Mortgage forbearance expiring in December. Student loan forgiveness expiring in December. FPUC expired in July. So wait a second. You can't have people with no unemployment benefits in the thick of winter, in the middle of December, and there's no stimulus package. Oh, and then we're going to go back on a lockdown, and they still have no unemployment benefits? You see the urgency at issue here. So that is the incredible great news, why everyone now sees that urgency and also sees what's happening. The number of COVID-19 cases, I cannot manifest how high they are rising. It was about a week and a half ago that I told you that it was 74,000 on a Friday and then went to 80,000 and then Wall Street crashed. I told you on a Saturday that Wall Street was going to crash on Monday. That was then 84,000. Now it was 90,000, I think the day before Election Day. Election Day or the day after was 100. Now it's at 125. And now there's concern it's going up 10,000 people every 48 hours. So you could be at 150,000 by the middle of next week. That is just very scary. And Dr. Scott Gottlieb on CNBC, which is the financial news channel, he's an analyst there now, former FDA head, he said that the infection rate is not the actual rate because that's the number of people who actually test. There's a lot more people who aren't testing, and he believes the number of infected people right now is 250,000 new infections per day in the United States. I'll say that again. A quarter, 250,000 new COVID-19, a 500,000 was what he said. The number's just mind-blowing. It's just a crazy large number, and it's out of control, and it's growing exponentially, and they expected it to grow exponentially in January, and that's certainly what the problem solvers bill thought. Okay, we can deal with this and carry it to January, and January we'll have another bill ready. No, the situation with COVID is so rapid that you have states, over 24 states now at their all-time daily highs. You have ICU capacity starting to reach capacity. You have Germany, France, Italy, and England all on some form of lockdown. And so you understand why Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell says, hey, stimulus right now. This is incredibly important. So the great news as we sit here this evening is that stimulus is coming. It's coming. And it's going to come very quickly. And what you have to do, Purple Power, is you have to make sure the message is very loud, that the provisions are very clear, and that everything that needs to be in there is in there. Ultimately, these are elected officials, and that they try to do things for the constituents, but you want to make sure that they do everything for you. It's important that you push, because ultimately, this is the relief that you've been waiting for, and this is the relief that you'll get. I want to thank you for the very positive messages I got throughout the day. It's days like this that there's a lot of twists and a lot of turns, and we're going to get through this together. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be a very volatile week on Wall Street. It's going to be a very heated week with a lot of oxygen out there. But now that a lot of things have settled down, the focus is back on stimulus. It is front page, that and COVID, and we're going to get through this together. If you've not subscribed to this channel, go to the front channel, subscribe. We're going to get through this together. It's a long road that we've gone, but we're almost at the finish line, and we're just about to cross it. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Early Mornings LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay focused, and save LA for more.